What's going on? How are you today, everybody? What's cooking? It's Tiki and Tierney here on the Fan. What's happening? Hoff is here. Dove is back. Holidays rapidly approaching, as is week number 16. The Jets trying to pick up the pieces. The Knicks try to keep it going. Same with the Rangers. Tiki, what's happening, buddy? How are you?
I mean, you know when you go to overtime, or not even overtime, game starts, flip a coin, call heads, lands on tails. You say, yeah, no, I said tails. That's what I feel like Robert Saleh is doing to us. He's telling us.
Bait and switch?
A little bit of bait and switch. And he should know better because this is New York. He's a very intelligent man. He's a great coach, I think, in the making, Robert Saleh. He messages so well. Everything that the Jets do, whether it's, how a season's going to play out, claiming mistakes like he did with the timeouts yesterday, telling us about the quarterback changes. He gets up and he tells us. And I always believe him. I always believe what he's saying. But now I think he's trying to pull the wool over our eyes when it comes to his quarterback, Zach Wilson. Now, we know that Zach played okay. The national narrative on Zach from last week is favorable. The local narrative is not so favorable because we watched. I was actually at the game. We watched it in real time, every play, the mistakes, the missteps, etc. But then I get this from Robert Saleh, which just frustrated me listening to, even though he used that exact word in this statement. Quote, "The frustrating thing is that this kid is going to be a good quarterback." Okay, debatable. But the NFL is this new instant coffee world that we're in, just doesn't want to give people time. So look at him and just nitpick him with a fine-tooth comb. First of all, you started a rookie quarterback unprepared last year. You sucked. It is what it is. That happens. You did the same thing this year because the same mistakes that plagued them last year are plaguing them this year. Now, you benched him. We didn't say, maybe we called for him to be benched. I mean, Joe Beningo called for it, week 3 of the NFL season. You benched him, Robert Saleh, because he was fundamentally flawed and had so many things to work on. And then you bring him back because Mike White is not cleared, that in quotes, by the team doctors to play. You bring him back, and he plays just as maybe a little bit better, but not quite as elite as you expect him to be. And now it's our fault for criticizing him, right? So I think Robert Saleh is trying to play both sides of the coin when it comes to Zach Wilson because he's trying to protect him, but at the same time realizing that he's flawed. And so we're New Yorkers, man. We call what we see. As media, we do it. As fans, we do it. If you're deserving of praise, you're going to get praise. If you're deserving of criticism, you're going to get criticism. And if you come through all of that at the other end, you know what? We'll love you. And you're great. We love you. But you got to earn it. And I think Robert Saleh is trying to make excuses for his quarterback, who actually stood up for himself, saying, I got to be better after this game. But Robert Saleh, we're not going to be fooled just because you're using cool cliches. We're in the instant coffee era.
Well, it's not even a good one. It's about a 50-year-old antiquated reference.
Come on.
Why are you so grumpy today?
I'm not grumpy. It just annoyed me when I heard him saying, it's just we evaluate quarterbacks too. You're the one that started him. You're the one that benched him. And then you're the one that brought him back to start again.
Let me ask you this. What should he say?
What should he say?
Yes.
My quarterback had some struggles. He's a young guy. He's a young man. Eventually, he's going to figure this out, and we have faith in him. And if you're gonna run with him, just run with him. I brought up this analogy yesterday. Not analogy. It was a actuality yesterday. Tom Coughlin and John Hufnagel, and I guess by extension, the Giants organization, pulled Kurt Warner from a 5-4 team. I think we were to 5-3. Whatever we were.
Game over 500.
Yeah, we're game over 500 and started Eli Manning. They knew it was going to suck. We all knew it was going to suck. And Eli stunk for 5 games. And then he won 1, and we started to see it change. You can't have it both ways. And I think Robert Saleh's trying to have it both ways by saying he's good enough to play, but we got to give him time, and blaming us for evaluating Zach so harshly when the team is ready to win right now. I get it. I understand it. But you can't throw both sides of the coin at us and expect us to just say, okay, we accept it.
Well, let me ask you a question. At the end of the day, I mean, really think about this. And I hear what you're saying. I'm not even saying that you're wrong, but does it really matter what any coaches say? At the end of the day, we're gonna see what we see.
The reason I say it with him, because There's a lot of coaches in the NFL that'll give you straight BS.
Yep.
From the first word that comes out of their mouth, you're like, I don't believe you.
And most cities that'll fly.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, whatever. Tell me anything. That looks good on print. It'll look good in print 15 years from now.
Yeah,
right?
no one's going to challenge him. Yeah.
Nobody's going to challenge you.
That's different here. We get that.
It's different here.
Yep.
And for the most part, I think Robert Saleh, Coach Saleh, has been straightforward and honest.
Yes, so
with
do I.
us.
Yep.
He tells us exactly what's going on, and it makes us trust what he's saying. But now he's trying to blame the evaluation of Zach Wilson, even though he's the one that put Zach Wilson in this position. By one, starting him when he wasn't ready, and then two, benching him, and then trying to start him again.
The only thing that I am going to challenge this. Now, obviously, he is liaison from the franchise to the fans, and I'm with you on this. I do think he's been a really good communicator. He showed some bite with the receipts comment early. He backed it up. That was obviously a very pivotal point for him. I think he commands respect, but I also think he comes across as a human. Like he's not this contrived wax figure that nobody can really relate to, that doesn't resonate on a human level. You can tell when he gets pissed off. You can tell when he's happy. And as you know better than anybody, his job is to, at a lot of levels, publicly protect his guys and then scold and do what you have to do behind closed doors, much like a parent, okay? I think, though, if we take issue, and I don't, but you do, if you take issue with how we positioned it yesterday with his quarterback, I think we need to branch out and understand that he's not just protecting his quarterback, he's protecting the GM and the owner, because there are layers and levels of culpability to the inability to insulate and grow their quarterback. Whether it was the quarterback room, and that's on the GM. We've discussed it a million times. Whether it's on the coaching staff, that's partially on Saleh because he obviously brings it who he wants, but also on the GM and the owner to have the various checkpoints. I think there's a little slice of the pie to toss around to everybody in terms of the blame with Zach.
Yeah,
this guy's in a rough spot, man.
I'm just saying, yes,
Saleh. He's in a rough spot with this.
We've said that multiple times about the spot that he's in, because this team can win. They're ready to win, but they're quarterback away, and it's the quarterback that they took number 2 overall. And you usually find out, even though there are exceptions, pretty quickly whether or not, does this kid have it? And there are points where you say, yeah, this kid has it. And there are other points where you're like, no, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's ever going to have it. And it's unfair, but it's New York. All right. So to try to play it both ways he says it's frustrating because the kid's going to be a good quarterback. We say it's frustrating because we know he's not a good quarterback right now. And so it happens in New York. You get evaluated. You get crushed. You get lifted up. And if you have more of those uplifting moments for fans and for your team, and the frustration doesn't show itself on the faces and the body language of your teammates, then eventually you become and then you do it long enough, you become legendary, right? But it's New York. You're not going to be able to escape criticism. And so I think he's actually doing a disservice to Zach by giving him excuses that it's because we live in a microwave society, because it's an instant coffee world. No, the fact of the matter is Zach was bad. Just say, my quarterback was bad.
But he wasn't horrible Sunday. He wasn't good, but he wasn't horrible. So that's not the day to crucify the kid.
I'm not saying crucify him. I'm just saying
after the Patriots game it was.
I'm just saying be honest about what we saw. Again, I restate the national narrative on, because we listened to it yesterday.
It was different.
The national narrative is very different than the analyst analysis.
The minutia of what we dive into. Because the national media sees 2 or 3 big splash plays, 300-plus yards, and they see some things that, wow, look, Zach.
Yeah.
What they miss.
He fixed it.
Yeah.
He fixed it. No, he really didn't.
No, the lack of a changeup or the lack of anticipation, missing guys. We all know this. Yeah, I do agree with that. But let me now flip this to you again. So if you think there was, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but, a lack of transparency in evaluating the quarterback, or he could have been a little more direct and forthright. Let's flip it this way. If he was, the story today is the head coach buried the quarterback.
Well,
I think this is less damaging.
Well, I mean,
you could just move on from so
honestly,
pissed off Tiki.
Honestly,
so what?
That's agreed.
Or me. So, you know what I mean?
But
like,
who cares?
That's what I'm saying. It's not a big deal.
It doesn't matter.
Not damaging to the team, not damaging to the player.
Well,
he's got to guard against that.
He is protecting his player, but the reality is his team would be better off if Mike White was starting at quarterback this week.
No, yeah, nobody's here to fight that.
And I get
not
it.
At this point.
He's in a way he's stating the fact, but he's also stating the fact as if it's our fault that we're evaluating him this way. Oh, it's our fault because you have no patience. Okay, you started him. You benched him. You started him again.
Are we sure he benched him? Are we sure he benched him?
I mean, he's the one that said it. At the end of the day, he said it. So it's got to be on him.
Okay. 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. Boy, my partner's a little ornery coming out of the shoot here. A little low. Did you get any sleep last night?
What happened? I got a lot of sleep.
Oh, you did?
I watched none of that football game last night.
I watched 3 or 4 minutes. I said, I'm not watching this slop.
No.
You know what we actually caught up on? It's so sad. And it's also a couple of years old at this point. This Is Us.
Oh,
when you have 2 little ones, you have things banked in DVR that you just don't get around to. And we love the show early.
I remember when you first started, like 5 years ago.
We're down to the last few episodes. The mom has Alzheimer's.
Stop. I don't even want to hear
tissues, dude. It's absolutely awful. We're inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guarantee lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. So here's the question that I'm going to throw to you guys. You heard Teak. You heard my rebuttal. Do you think it would be advantageous for a more aggressive, more direct, less coddling approach to the quarterback? I don't. Not necessarily publicly.
I think Zach needs that. I think Zach needs that. He's a very confident kid. I'm not saying humble him, break him down.
Yep.
But there's something not quite clicking with him. And
but is that a humility thing or a football thing? That's what's so tricky about this whole diagnosis that we try to come up with the quarterback. I don't know.
I think that he needs a little bit of tough love.
But don't you think he got some by being benched and deactivated?
Yeah. But now
we'll send him home for a month.
But now he's getting excuses made for him. We're in an instant coffee world, and people just don't want to give him time. You benched him. Right, you're the one that sat them down when they were winning. Yeah. They lost 2 games against and obviously we championed it. We loved it.
Yeah, you had to do it
because you had to do it. And Mike White came in and played great until he got hurt. So I mean, I get it, but don't flip a coin and call both sides because that's what he's doing.
I'm curious what you guys think about this. Obviously, the Jets playing on Thursday, so we'll go a little more Jets today and more Giants tomorrow. Julian Love usually on Tuesday with us off. We have pushed him back to Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, okay? So Julian George is coming up on Thursday. If the Commanders win, who knows? Maybe the Giants mess around and start going on a little win streak. I mean, the Vikings, you never know which team is showing up. The Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor or a head coach. And that last game with the Eagles, who knows if Hurts plays or if anybody else plays. So maybe the Giants could bag a few more. The Knicks are trying to bag a few more. The Rangers trying to keep this going. Good times on the scene, except for the quarterback situation for the Jets. How can they handle this differently? Are you with Tiki and Tierney right here on The Fan?
This